Tales.
Today, our mission, basically, is to give you a shortcut, a way to understand some, well, pretty complex relationship dynamics. You've given us a lot of great material, articles, research, and we're going to distill it down. Find the best bits about what makes a relationship unhealthy or, what people call toxic. So let me ask you this. Have you ever heard a relationship story, maybe from a friend, maybe online, that was just so weird, so baffling, it made you kind of rethink things? Well, that's what we're doing today. A deep dive into 7 significant signs that a relationship might be heading down a bad path. We're using psychology, real stories, some facts that honestly surprised me. And this is going to be an honest chat, not preachy. Just the interesting psychological stuff and examples that really stick with you.
Exactly. The goal isn't to tell anyone what to do. It's more about equipping you, giving you the knowledge. So you can recognize these patterns, not just in other people's lives, which is easy, right? But also maybe understand things that could be subtly affecting you. Because sometimes, what looks like just a personality clash, it's actually a pretty well-documented psychological thing going on.
Okay, let's get into it then. We hear these stories, right? Relationships that start super intense, like a bonfire, and then just poof, gone. Which brings us straight to number 1, love bombing and that fast burnout. When someone seems too into you, like way too fast, what's really happening there, psychologically speaking?
That's a great place to start. Because, it's usually not just someone being super enthusiastic. Psychologists see it differently. It's often described as, a manipulation tactic, often used by people with narcissistic traits, very focused on themselves, lacking empathy. And there's actually recent research suggesting this constant flood of attention, the gifts, the nonstop texts, it triggers dopamine in the recipient's brain, like an addiction. So you end up wanting to chase that first amazing feeling, that high. Even when things start going downhill, you get kind of hooked on that initial rush.
Wow. And the name itself, love bombing, I found out it actually came from research on cults back in the 70s, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, the origins are pretty dark.
And you see it everywhere now, though. Like that story that went viral, remember? He said I was his soulmate on day 2, blocked me on day 6.
It's almost funny how fast it is, but obviously it's really damaging for the person on the receiving end.
Oh, absolutely.
So it makes you think, right, have you ever felt totally swept off your feet, maybe too fast, where you kind of pause and thought, wait, is this real? And that initial intensity, the love bombing, when it fades, it often leads right into the next thing, which is our second sign, future faking fantasy. This is where someone paints this incredibly vivid picture of your future together. Big plans, huge promises, buying a house, traveling the world, kids, the whole 9 yards. But there's zero actual intention, like none, or action behind it.
Oh, yeah. This is classic social media fodder, isn't it? It's the, he swore we'd buy a house, but he still owes me $20 for gas meme. We've all seen that one.
Exactly.
Or we're definitely moving to Bali next year. While they can't quite cover their share of dinner. It's building this amazing future that's totally imaginary.
And it's not just wishful thinking. Dr. Ramani, a psychologist who talks a lot about this stuff, she calls it a deliberate manipulation. It's about controlling hope, keeping you hooked on what could be. Optimism fades naturally, but this is about actively creating an illusion. And here's a stat that kind of blew my mind, actually. A survey found 72% of people admitted making big relationship promises they knew they wouldn't keep.
72%. Seriously.
It's way more common than you might think.
Yeah.
So, think about it in your own life or people you know.
Yeah.
How often do the big promises actually line up with, actions? It's a really important thing to watch.
Okay. Moving on to something darker, maybe. One of the trickiest forms of manipulation, gaslighting. Ever find yourself apologizing for something they did or feeling like you're totally overreacting, maybe even going crazy for having a perfectly normal feeling? That's gaslighting territory. It's like they twist reality until you doubt yourself, doubt your own sanity. What are the key signs to look for?
Yeah, it's insidious. The signs, once you see them, are pretty clear, though. Constant denial.
Yeah.
They just deny things happened, even when you know they did. Minimizing your feelings. Oh, you're too sensitive. You're overreacting. Stuff like that. And then the kicker, blaming you for your reaction to their bad behavior. It's a real mind bender. And here's the psychological twist, which is genuinely scary. Gaslighting isn't just messing with your head emotionally. It can actually cause measurable changes in the brain. Studies have shown changes in the hippocampus. That's the part crucial for memory.
Wow. So it literally affects your memory.
Yes. It's not just about feeling confused. It's undermining your ability to trust your own recollection. It makes it incredibly hard to see clearly and get out.
Yeah.
So have you ever felt like someone was twisting your reality, making you feel crazy just for feeling what you felt? It's a huge red flag.
This really leads to that big question people always ask, doesn't it? Why? Why do people stay in relationships that are so obviously damaging, sometimes even abusive? Which brings us to sign number 4, trauma bonding. It's that really intense up and down cycle, the amazing highs after terrible lows. And that creates this, well, you called it an addiction-like dependency earlier. How does that work? How does it get so strong?
It's incredibly powerful. And yes, it is genuinely addictive. You see people describe it so vividly online. I remember a famous Reddit post where someone compared the makeup phase after a huge fight to like taking an addictive drug.
Yeah, I think I saw that one.
And the science actually backs that feeling up.
Yeah.
Research shows the same parts of the brain light up during these intense, sometimes abusive relationship cycles as light up with, say, cocaine addiction.
Whoa, seriously, the same brain region.
The very same. So think about that. It's not just about being weak or not wanting to leave. It's a legitimate, powerful psychological pull. The brain gets wired to crave those intense highs, even knowing the crushing lows that follow. Breaking free is incredibly hard.
Okay, next one. This sounds positive, but it's not. Toxic positivity. You know, when someone just shuts down any real negative feelings you have, they insist on good vibes only, all the time. It sounds harmless, maybe even well-intentioned, but it can be really damaging.
Oh, definitely. That whole just be positive
Yeah.
attitude, it's dangerous because it basically invalidates real, legitimate emotions. It stops you from actually processing things like sadness, anger, frustration in a healthy way. Because if you can't talk about it, if you're told to just slap a smile on, those feelings don't magically vanish. They just fester.
Right, they go underground.
Exactly. And here's a surprising place this shows up: workplaces. A study found that companies pushing a really strong positivity culture often had higher rates of hidden burnout.
Hidden burnout. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's not just a relationship thing. It shows how forcing positivity can backfire pretty badly. Think about it. Have you, or maybe someone you know, ever felt that pressure to just stay positive when what you really needed was someone to just listen and understand?
Okay, so we've talked a lot about dynamics inside one relationship, but what about patterns that seem to follow you around, that creepy feeling like you're dating the exact same person, just, with a different face and name, encountering the same toxic stuff over and over again? We're calling this the recycled ex syndrome. What's the psychology behind that? Why does that happen?
Right. That feeling is unsettlingly common for some people. Psychologically, the root cause is often something called trauma repetition. It usually stems from unresolved attachment wounds from earlier in life, those early experiences that shape how we connect with people. Therapists suggest that subconsciously your brain is trying to recreate those old emotional situations.
Why would it do that?
Well, the theory is it's hoping for a different outcome this time, a better ending. It's like this unconscious attempt to finally fix the original wound or get the validation you didn't get before.
Huh, like trying to rewrite history.
Kind of. But unfortunately, as you might guess, it rarely ends well. You just end up repeating the painful pattern. It's like playing a scratched record, hoping it'll suddenly sound perfect. It won't. So if you've ever noticed that pattern, maybe in your own life or friends, understanding this why might be the first step to, changing the tune.
Okay, last one, number 7. This one feels very current, very online. Public shaming in relationships. We're talking about people airing all the dirty laundry after a breakup, posting screenshots, humiliating an ex online. Often, let's be honest, for clicks or clout, it seems to be happening more.
It definitely seems more visible now. And the impact, it's way more than just temporary embarrassment. This stuff causes real, significant long-term damage to the mental health of the person being targeted. And there's data on this now. A 2024 study, so very recent, specifically looked at this. It found that public breakup posts, the shaming kind, led to a 35% increase in depression rates for the person targeted in the 6 months after the post.
35% increase, that's huge.
It's massive. It shows this isn't just online drama. It's causing measurable psychological harm that lasts long after the post disappears from the feed.
So maybe a simple rule of thumb here. If you wouldn't say it directly to their face, probably don't plaster it all over TikTok or Instagram, right?
Absolutely.
It's about thinking about those long-term consequences for everyone involved. Privacy, respect, they still matter, even when things end badly. Maybe especially then.
And that's the thing with all these signs, isn't it? Toxic dynamics can be really subtle, sneaky even. They often go unnoticed or maybe excused. Oh, it's just a rough patch, they're just stressed, until real harm's been done. It's easy to blame yourself too.
But like you said at the start, knowledge really is power here. Just recognizing these signs, naming them, it can speed up healing. It can empower you to make different choices, to choose relationships that are actually healthy and fulfilling. And seriously, you should never, ever settle for less than you deserve. Never settle for emotional crumbs.
Exactly. And maybe here's a final thought to chew on. Based on all this, how can understanding the psychology behind these toxic patterns, the love bombing, the gaslighting, the trauma bonds, how can that help us build resilience? Not just to spot red flags in romance, but to cultivate stronger boundaries and healthier connections in all areas of our lives, with family, friends, even at work. This stuff has wider reach, you know?
That's a great question to leave people with. Really makes you think.
I
And
don't know.
speaking of things that make you think, if you found this deep dive interesting, wait till our next one. We're going to be exploring something called bank seeing. Heard of it?
Vaguely, it sounds intriguing.
Oh, it is. It's a sort of new, complex twist in modern dating where ghosting gets mixed up with even more psychological games. Psychology meets modern relationship chaos. Again, you won't want to miss that exploration. Until then, keep diving deep.